Paisley's worst day started with a single decision: spending her last $20 on a bleeding stranger at her diner. But he wasn't just anyone. He was the head of a powerful criminal empire, and her act of kindness would spark a chain reaction she could never have predicted. Now, her quiet life is threatened by the Mafia, with danger closing in on her family and secrets unraveling that could destroy everything. From Mafia threats to stolen evidence, Paisley's forced to fight a battle that's not hers. But when the past catches up with her, will she stand tall or lose everything she's fought for? One act of kindness turned Paisley's world upside down, and the consequences are just beginning. Welcome to Afro-Korean Drama TV. Want to know what happens next? This story is far from over. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and don't miss the next twist in the tale. $20. That was everything Paisley had left. 2 20s and a 10, folded so many times they felt like cloth. She counted them under the flickering light of Remy's diner, tucked them into her apron, and pushed through the kitchen doors to finish her shift. Her 5-year-old daughter, Sena, was asleep at her mother's apartment across town. Tomorrow meant groceries, which meant choosing between rice and bread again. Remy's was always dead after midnight. Just the hum of the old fridge, the drip of the leaky faucet, and rain hammering the windows. Afua City's waterfront district was bright and expensive, but Remy's sat 10 blocks from all that. The only people who wandered in this late were truckers and lost tourists. Tonight, someone new. He was slumped in the corner booth, head on the table, one arm dangling. His black coat was soaked through. Rain dripped from the table edge onto the floor. Remy shrugged from behind the counter. Walked in 10 minutes ago, sat down, collapsed. Is he alive? Mumbled something, couldn't understand a word. Paisley grabbed a rag and approached, slow, careful. Up close, he was younger than she'd thought. Early 30s, dark hair plastered to his forehead, a bruise along his jaw, a cut above his left eyebrow. "Sir, you can't sleep here." "Nothing." "Sir?" He lifted his head, eyes unfocused, glassy, drunk. But underneath that, something else, something like fear. He said something in a language she didn't recognize. Then his head dropped again. Remy was pulling off his apron. "Lock up when you leave. If he doesn't wake up, call someone." "Call who?" But Remy was already out the back door. Just Paisley and the unconscious stranger. She should have walked away, cleaned up, locked the door, gone home. Then he shifted, and she saw the blood, a thin line trailing from under his coat sleeve. His hand was trembling. She didn't think. She grabbed the first aid kit, pulled up a chair, and lifted his arm. The sleeve was torn, a gash across his forearm, not deep, but ugly. His eyes flew open. For 1 second, they stared at each other. His eyes were so dark they were almost black, and in that moment she recognized something, the look of someone who'd been running. "I'm not going to hurt you," she said. "I'm just cleaning this up." He blinked, nodded slowly. She worked quietly. Antiseptic. Gauze. He watched her with those unreadable eyes. When she finished, he looked at the bandage, then at her. "Why?" His English was thick with accent, slurred. "Because you're bleeding in a diner at 1 in the morning and someone has to help." He stared. "I'm hungry." She laughed, small, surprised. Went to the kitchen and made the only thing she could. Jollof rice with fried plantain and a boiled egg. When she set the plate down, he stared at it like he'd never seen food before. He ate slowly, then looked up, and something shifted in his face. The hardness loosened. "Good," he said. "It's just rice." "No, it's good." He finished everything. She asked if he had someone to call. He shook his head. A hotel? Another shake. This was the fork in the road. The smart thing was to send him into the rain. But Paisley had been the person in the rain before. She'd been the one with no one to call, standing outside a locked door with a baby in her arms and nothing in her pockets. She pulled out her $20, stared at it, thought about groceries. thought about Sena. Then she walked 2 blocks in the rain to the motel on 5th Street and paid for one night. $20 exactly. She set the key on his table. Room 14, 2 blocks east. It's not fancy, but there's a bed and hot water. Checkout is noon. He looked at the key, then at her. Something too big to name crossed his face. You don't know me. No. Then why? Because it's the right thing to do, and because someone did it for me once. He took the key, stood, taller than she expected. Even soaked and bruised, something about the way he carried himself didn't match this place. He read her name tag. Paisley. That's me. I will pay you back. Don't worry about it. He stepped toward the door, stopped without turning. My name is Hyun-sung. Then he walked into the rain. Life buried the memory under bills, double shifts, and a daughter who needed a real space helmet by Friday. Sena was 5 going to 6. Big eyes, bigger personality. Mama, if the moon is far away, how come I can see it? Because it's big, baby. But ants are small, and I can see those too. Eat your cereal, Sena. They lived in a 1-bedroom apartment on the 4th floor of a building older than everyone in it. No elevator. The hallway always carried the scent of frying onions and laundry detergent. But it was home. Sena's father left when she was 8 months old. Didn't look back, didn't call. Paisley's mother, Emery, had stepped in like a force of nature, watching Sena during night shifts, braiding hair on Sundays, delivering speeches about resilience that could make a grown man cry. You are doing fine, Emery would say, pointing a wooden spoon like a wand. Tired means you're fighting. It was a Tuesday afternoon, Paisley's day off, when a black car pulled up to the curb beside her and Sena outside the park. Long, sleek, tinted windows so dark you couldn't see inside. Paisley's hand tightened around Sena's. The back door opened, and out stepped a Korean woman, mid-40s, dark blue suit, hair in a bun that could cut glass. No expression at all. Miss Paisley Candy, my name is Yona. You helped someone recently, a man named Hyun-sung. He would like to repay your kindness. He doesn't owe me anything. He disagrees. Yona held out a white envelope. No pressure, no obligation. But what you did for him mattered more than you know. She got back in the car and disappeared. Sena tugged Paisley's sleeve. What if it's a treasure map? Inside, a handwritten note. Paisley, I told you I would pay you back. This is not enough. It will never be enough. But it is a start. Hyun-sung. Behind the note, a check for $50,000. She read the number 4 times. Her hands were shaking. Her brain stalled like a flooded engine. $50,000. For a plate of jollof rice and a motel room. She didn't cash the check for 3 days. She told her mother. Emery sat down, stood up, sat down again. And you're not going to cash it? It feels wrong, Mama. Child, you live in an apartment with no elevator. Your daughter needs new shoes every 2 months. You work double shifts where the owner can't fix the faucet. It's not about the money. It's always about the money, Paisley. That's what people with money say. But the car, the suit, the woman with no expression. Who has that kind of money to give away? Saturday. A text from an unknown number. Can we meet? I'd like to explain. Hyun-sung. How did you get this number? Yona is very resourceful. I apologize. I didn't cash the check. I know. That's why I want to meet. Please, that single word, please. Stopped her. It didn't sound like a demand. Remy's Diner. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. I'm choosing the booth. He looked transformed in daylight. No bruises, no rain. Sharp features, dark eyes, and a way of moving that said he owned every room he entered. 2 men with earpieces flanked him at the door. He sat across from her. She crossed her arms. My full name is Hyun-sung Do-yoon, he said. I lead an organization. Some call it the Gyeomjong-pa, the Black Tide. We control trade routes, ports, shipping. For decades, my family has run the Eastern Corridor. It is not a gentle business. Mafia. She was sitting across from a mafia boss. I should go, she said, reaching for her bag. I'm trying to leave. That stopped her. That night, he said, his voice tight, I wasn't just drunk. I'd been attacked by people inside my own organization because I'm pushing to legitimize everything, end the old ways. They ambushed me, took everything, left me on the street. I walked for hours before I found your diner. A pause. You were the only person who helped me. I didn't know who you were. Exactly, that's why it mattered. Silence. She sat back down, slowly, guard still fully up. 1 week, she said. Sort this out. Keep your people away from my life, and if anyone comes near my daughter, I understand. And I'm keeping the check. For the first time, Hyun-sung Do-yun smiled. It changed his entire face. The sharpness dissolved, the walls dropped a fraction. She felt something she absolutely should not be feeling and squashed it immediately. Don't smile at me, Mr. Do-yun. We're not friends. Of course not, he said. But the smile didn't leave. She cashed the check, bought Sena new shoes, paid 3 months' rent, sat on her kitchen floor at midnight and cried. Not sad tears, not happy tears. The kind that come when you've been holding your breath for years and someone says it's okay to exhale. Hyun-sung started showing up at the diner during her breaks, not in a demanding way. He'd just appear with containers of Korean food. What's this one? Taeokbokki. Took a what? Just try it. Her eyes watered. She coughed for 30 seconds. That's actually good. But why is it that hot? She brought him things too. A kara from her mother's recipe. A thermos of zobo drink Emery insisted she deliver. Your mother made this for me? Don't read into it. She feeds everyone. But Emery had made it specifically for Hyun-sung, with extra ginger, the way she only did for people she was starting to like. Then Sung-jin arrived. A Tuesday night. Paisley was closing the diner when the bell chimed. A tall, thin man in a gray coat and wire-rimmed glasses. 2 men blocking the door behind him. You must be Paisley. His English was polished, expensive schools. I'm Sung-jin, a business associate of Hyun-sung Do-yun. We're closed. He sat down uninvited. Hyun-sung has certain idealistic ideas about changing our organization, ideas that threaten people who've spent decades building something powerful. And sentimental men form dangerous attachments to people who show them kindness. Paisley's knuckles ached from gripping the dish towel. I'm just a waitress. And yet, Hyun-sung Do-yun came here and smiled at you. Do you know how many people have seen him smile in 5 years? 3. His mother, his niece, and now you. He stood, buttoned his coat. Walk away from Hyun-sung. Pretend you never met him. Because the people I represent don't share his soft heart, and they don't make second visits. He left. The bell chimed. Silence. She called Hyun-sung, hands unsteady. Told him everything. Did he touch you? Hyun-sung's voice had changed, harder, colder. No, he advised me. I'm going to fix this. You keep saying that. I know. Saying and doing are different things. Paisley, are you afraid? She closed her eyes, saw Sena's face. Yes. Then let me protect you, not because I think you're weak, because this is my fault. 2 days. I'll accept security for 2 days. Fix this. The 2 days passed. Hyun-sung said the immediate threat was handled. Sung-jin reassigned, the faction agreeing to negotiate. The security withdrew. Normal life resumed. Until the morning Paisley came home and found her front door open. Not broken, not forced, just open, unlocked from inside. Sena was at school. Her mother was supposed to be home. Mama, she called. No answer. The apartment looked normal. Shoes by the door, dishes on the rack. But on the kitchen table sat a photograph. Sena, at school, taken through the playground fence, mid-laugh, reaching for a ball. On the back, in block letters, he can't protect what he can't see. Her knees buckled. She grabbed the counter, dialed Hyun-sung. They were in my apartment. There's a photograph of Sena at her school. Don't move, I'm coming. Don't come here, that's what they want. Yona is already at the school. After Sung Jin's visit, I placed her on standby. Precautionary. Is my daughter safe? She is safe. Then I need to get there, now. That night, Hyun-sung laid out the truth at Emery's apartment. The faction opposing him, Sung Jin, a financial operator named Do-young, and an intelligence director named Hyebin, wanted him removed permanently. His push to go legal threatened their profits. The only way to stop them was evidence. Financial records proving their unauthorized operations. Records that Do-young had moved to a storage facility right here in Afua City. I need those records before the council votes on my removal, Hyun-sung said. 2 weeks. Emery fixed him with a stare. And what happens to my family in those 2 weeks? I have a safe house, outside the city, private, secure. Paisley shook her head. I'm not uprooting my daughter. That photograph was taken through the fence of her school, Paisley. These people found your apartment, your workplace, your child. The next message won't be just a photo. Silence. Sena's voice drifted from the other room, singing about a lizard she'd named General Sparkle. Emery spoke first. We go, but I'm bringing my spice rack. The safe house was beautiful. White walls, big windows, a garden with actual flowers overlooking the sea. Sena declared it the space station. Hyun-sung didn't stay there, but he called every evening and every call lasted longer. Monday, 15 minutes. Sena found a lizard on the porch. Did she name it? General Sparkle. Wednesday, 40 minutes. How did you end up in Afua City? She asked. This city felt anonymous. No one knew me. I could just be a person. Until you ended up drunk in my diner. That part was not in the plan. Friday, over an hour. They talked about everything. His mother who died 3 years ago. His sister Minji who ran a flower shop and refused to speak to him. Paisley's father who passed when she was 12, and the broken wristwatch she still kept. Why keep it? He asked. Because it reminds me that time stops for people, even if it doesn't stop for the world. That's the most beautiful thing anyone has said to me. You need to get out more. Then the plan collapsed. Hyun-sung called, voice flat. Do-young moved the records. Someone inside my circle tipped him off. Yona found the leak. Hyun-sung's oldest ally. A man named Tae-young, 15 years at his side, now feeding information to Sung Jin for 8 months. Do-young had offered him money, power, and Hyun-sung's own position. Worse, a council vote on Hyun-sung's removal was scheduled for the end of the week. 4 days. Hyun-sung stood on the safe house porch, gripping the railing. Paisley recognized the posture. She'd worn it herself. Standing at the counter of her empty apartment, no options. Sena crying in the next room. So you're giving up, she said. It's not one setback. I've had 100 setbacks, Hyun-sung. I've been evicted, fired, gone days without eating so my daughter could. And every time I got back up, not because I'm brave, but because I didn't have the luxury of stopping. She stepped closer. You do have that luxury. You have money, power, people willing to follow you, so use it. Something ignited in his eyes. In my country, there's a word, dogsim, doxim, a fierce heart that refuses to break. That's you, Paisley. Then let me help you fight. The records were in a private storage vault near the port. Climate-controlled, high security. Entry required a key card and a 6-digit code, both of which Tae-young carried. He can't know we've identified him, Yona said, spreading documents across the safe house kitchen table. If he alerts Sung Jin, they'll destroy everything. Then Hyun-sung acts normal, Paisley said. Tae-young expects trust, so give it to him and use it. Yona looked at her with something approaching approval. Miss Candy, I'm beginning to understand what Hyun-sung sees in you. I'm a mother, Paisley said. I know how to get things without asking directly. Last week I got Sena to eat broccoli by calling it space trees. Hyun-sung returned to his city base and carried on as if nothing was wrong. Meetings with Taeyang, dinners, gestures of trust that made the older man relax. Meanwhile, Paisley coordinated from the safe house, organizing the timeline on a whiteboard she'd found in a closet. Sena added a drawing of General Sparkle for morale. The keycard was the first target. Taeyang kept it in his coat's inner pocket and never removed the coat during meetings. What if there was a reason to remove it? Paisley asked during a late-night call. Such as, a spill. You want me to spill something on a man I've known for 15 years to steal his keycard? I want you to save your organization, protect my daughter, and prove these people are liars. The spill is just logistics. Third night, private dinner. Hyun-sung and Taeyang. Hyun-sung poured tea. His hand, he later told Paisley, was perfectly steady. The tea went everywhere. Forgive me. So sorry. Taeyang laughed, removed his coat, let staff take it for cleaning. In 90 seconds, Yona, waiting in the hallway, duplicated the keycard and returned it. Under 2 minutes, the code was harder. Paisley asked Hyun-sung, "Everyone has a pattern. Birthdays, anniversaries. What matters most to Taeyang?" His daughter, born June 21st, 1997. Try 062197. Yona tried it at the facility at 2 in the morning. It worked. Everything they needed and more. Account ledgers, transfer receipts, communications between Do-young and illegal contacts. Proof Sung-jin had been embezzling for 3 years. Evidence Hyebin was selling intelligence to rivals. Yona brought the documents at dawn. Paisley opened the door, saw the folder, and felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Behind her, small footsteps. "Mama, why is the scary lady here so early?" Yona's eyebrow twitched. "Scary? You never smile," Sena explained. Yona looked at the child, and then, incredibly, she smiled. Small, brief, like a crack of sunlight through heavy clouds. "Better?" Yona asked. Sena tilted her head, a little. The Grand Halcyon Hotel. Private conference room. 12 seats around a long table. The most powerful people in the Gyeomjong-pa, gathered from across the globe. Hyun-sung at the head. Yona to his left. Across the table, Sung-jin, Do-young, Hyebin. And Taeyang, still unaware. Paisley wasn't there. She sat at the safe house with her phone on the table, waiting. Sena made paper cranes at the counter. Emery stress-cooked enough jollof rice to feed a village, but Paisley could picture every detail. She'd gone over the plan with Hyun-sung 3 times. Sung-jin opened proceedings with practiced elegance. Our leader has pursued restructuring initiatives that have weakened operations and eroded what generations built. I move for a vote of no. Confidence. He turned to Hyun-sung. "Anything to say before we proceed?" Hyun-sung stood. "Before the council votes, I'd like to exercise my right to present a counter-statement." He produced the thick file. "I've been conducting an internal audit, not of the organization's operations, of its operators." The temperature dropped. Financial records from Do-young's account. 17 unauthorized transfers, $400 million, into shell companies he personally controls. Do-young's hands gripped his armrests. Communications between Hyebin and 3 rival organizations. Selling our classified information for payment. Hyebin's face went white. And Sung-jin's personal accounts. Systematic embezzlement from shared operational funds. Sung-jin's smile vanished. 3 hours of review followed. Do-young denied everything until a specific timestamped transaction was placed before him. Hyebin claimed fabrication until Yeona produced server logs with IP addresses traced to her personal devices. Sung-jin said nothing at all. The council voted, not on Hyun-sung's removal, on theirs, unanimous. As Sung-jin was escorted past Hyun-sung, he leaned in. "This isn't over." Hyun-sung met his gaze. "For you it is." The door closed, and Hyun-sung exhaled for the first time in months. He called from the parking lot. "It's done." Paisley stood on the safe house porch, watching the sea turn orange and gold. "Done? Or done for now done?" Done, unanimous. She closed her eyes and let the evening wind wash over her. And Taeyang confessed without prompting, said Do-young's people threatened his daughter if he didn't cooperate. I removed his position, but nothing beyond that. He was scared the way any parent would be. She understood that more than he knew. What happens now? She asked. I rebuild. Legal operations. Transparent trade. It'll take years, but the council agreed. A pause. Sena shrieked with laughter inside. Emery's paper crane had turned out looking like a duck. Paisley? Yeah? Can I come there tonight? She should have said no. The crisis was over. This was the natural endpoint, where their worlds separated. Yes, come. He arrived at sunset. She met him on the porch. They stood facing each other, the ocean stretching behind them. I don't know how this works, he said. A man from a coast 6,000 miles away, and a woman who spent her last $20 on a stranger. Since when does anything make sense? I want to do this right. No rushing, no pressure, just time. I don't even know what this is yet. Neither do I, but I want to find out. A paper crane blew out the window behind them, one of Sena's creations, caught by the wind. It tumbled through the air, lifted on an updraft, and floated out over the water. They both watched it go. 6 months later, they took it slow. Walks along the harbor, dinners twice a week. Once at a restaurant, once at Paisley's apartment, where Hyun-sung was learning to cook Nigerian dishes under Emery's supervision. No, the tomatoes first. I put the tomatoes in. Those were the onions. They looked the same. In what world do tomatoes and onions look the same? Sena served as translator and cheerleader. You're doing great, Hyun-sung. While Emery muttered prayers for patience. Hyun-sung taught them Korean cooking in return. The kitchen became a battlefield of flavors. Emery's pepper sauce versus Hyun-sung's gochujang. Paisley's fried plantain versus his kimchi pancakes. Sena's space stew, which combined everything and was, honestly, terrible. They ate together, all 4 of them, around the small table in the same apartment where Paisley had once sat on the floor and cried. Now it was full. Hyun-sung had returned to his home country to oversee the transition, but he called every day. Sena hijacked the phone at least once per call. I told Felix that Saturn has 67 moons and he didn't even know what a moon was. Very thorough, Hyun-sung said, and Paisley could hear the warmth across 6,000 miles. Yona stayed in Afua City for Hyun-sung's legitimate port business. She and Paisley developed an unlikely friendship, built on tea and Yona's slow warming into something resembling humor. You're smiling more, Paisley told her. I am not. You smiled at the waiter, at the taxi driver, even at Sena. Sena told me my face looks like a serious pancake. I was responding to the absurdity. That's called smiling, Yona. I reject your analysis. 1 year later, Hyun-sung came back. Not for a visit. With a suitcase, a lease on an apartment, and a plan to open a legitimate import-export business in Afua City. You're moving here. Paisley stared at him. If that's acceptable. We've talked on the phone every day for a year. My daughter considers you her personal science consultant. My mother has been saving a recipe for your welcome dinner since March. Of course it's acceptable. That full, rare smile. However, you are meeting my mother's cooking standards or you're not staying for dinner. He could not, in fact, handle Emery's pepper soup. His eyes watered. His nose ran. He ate the entire bowl because Emery was watching like a general inspecting troops. And when he finished, she refilled it. More, he wheezed. You said you could handle it, Emery said, with a smile that was absolutely deliberate. Sena patted his arm. It's okay. She does this to everyone. His sister Minji finally called back, not to reconcile at first, but because she'd seen news about the organization's transformation and wanted to know if it was real. It's real, Hyun-sung told her. She visited 6 months later, bringing flowers, an enormous arrangement Emery declared acceptable before placing it like a trophy on the dining table. Minji and Sena became instant allies, bonding over origami and a shared opinion that Hyun-sung was a bit too serious. "He forgets to laugh. Sometimes," Minji told Sena. "I know, I have to remind him." The beginning of everything. Remy retired, sold the diner to Paisley. She used her savings, a small loan, and creative budgeting. The new sign read Paisley's in bright orange letters. Jollof rice became a permanent menu item. So did tteokbokki, spice level adjusted for locals. The corner booth where Hyun-sung once collapsed became the most requested table, because word got around. "Is this really where it happened?" customers asked. "Right there, face down on the table. And you helped him." "I did. And now I own the restaurant." Hyun-sung's business thrived. He worked long hours, traveled often, and came home every single time. Sena's school play that year was about the ocean. She played a whale, standing very still for 4 minutes before exploding into silver streamers. Hyun-sung, Emery, Paisley, Yona, and Minji attended. 5 people in a tiny auditorium, watching a 7-year-old in a whale costume. Standing ovation. After the show, they walked home together. Sena on Hyun-sung's shoulders, still wearing whale fins, narrating a story about a whale that traveled to planet Honeycake and became friends with General Sparkle. Emery walked arm in arm with Minji, trading spice tips for flower arranging secrets. Yona walked behind, scanning out of habit, though there was nothing to scan for anymore. Paisley walked in the middle of all of it. She thought about that night. The rain. The flickering diner light she'd almost turned off. The $20, her last 20, spent on a stranger she thought she'd never see again. Except she did see him again. And again. And again. She had a restaurant with her name on it. A daughter who invented planets. A mother who expressed love through pepper soup. And a man who'd crossed an ocean and come back, and come back, and come back. All because of $20 and a plate of jollof rice. "Mama," Sena called from Hyun-sung's shoulders. "Tell the whale story." "What whale story?" "The one where the whale saves the whole ocean by being nice to a fish." "Baby, I don't know that story." "Then make it up." Paisley laughed, reached up and squeezed her daughter's dangling foot. "Once upon a time," she began, "there was a whale." And the city hummed around them, and the harbor lights shone gold on the water, and somewhere above, hidden behind the street lamps, the stars were out. All of them, even the ones that hadn't been discovered yet. 3 months after the diner opened, everything was good. Too good. Paisley should have known. Life had a habit of letting you breathe just long enough before it squeezed again. The first crack appeared on a Monday morning. The kind of ordinary, forgettable Monday that shouldn't hold anything important. Paisley was wiping down the counter at Paisley's when her phone rang. A number she didn't recognize, but local. "Hello?" "Miss Candy." A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. "This is Adjoa Mensah from the Afua City Commerce Bureau. We need to speak with you regarding your business license." "What about it?" "There's been a complaint filed against your establishment. An anonymous report claiming your restaurant is operating as a front for foreign criminal enterprise." The words hit like cold water. That's ridiculous. I'm a restaurant owner. I serve rice and plantain." "I understand, Miss Candy, but the complaint has triggered a mandatory review. We'll need full access to your financial records, supplier contracts, and this is the part I want to prepare you for. The review may require a temporary suspension of your license until the investigation is complete." "Temporary suspension? I just opened. I'm sorry. You'll receive official documentation by end of day. I'd recommend consulting with a lawyer." The line went dead. Paisley stood behind her counter. Her counter, the one she'd saved for, scraped for, dreamed about, and felt the floor tilt. An anonymous complaint. Foreign criminal enterprise. She knew exactly who was behind this. Hyun-sung's face went rigid when she told him. They were sitting in his apartment, a modest two-bedroom in the harbor district that he'd deliberately chosen to avoid drawing attention. Maps and business documents covered the dining table. A half-eaten bowl of ramyeon sat forgotten. "Sung-jin," he said. Not a question. He was removed from the council. How does he still have this kind of reach? Being removed from power doesn't erase connections, Paisley. Sung-jin spent 20 years building relationships with officials, politicians, business regulators, in multiple countries. He may have lost his seat, but his network is still very much alive. So he's coming after Emmy now? Not you. Me? Because hurting you hurts me. Hyun-sung's voice was steady, but she could see the storm behind his eyes. He knows that. He's always known that. Then, what do we do? I'll contact my legal team. No. The word came out sharp, final. Your legal team, your resources, your connections. That's exactly what the complaint is about, Hyun-sung. If I fight this with your money and your lawyers, it proves their point. It makes me look like exactly what they're saying I am. He opened his mouth, closed it, because she was right, and he knew it. I fight this myself, she said. With my own records, my own lawyer, my own proof. Paisley, this is my restaurant. My name is on the sign, and I will not let anyone, not Sung-jin, not the Commerce Bureau, not anyone, take it from me because they want to get to you. The silence between them was heavy. Then Hyun-sung said quietly, "Is that what I am to you? A liability?" The question landed like a stone in still water. That's not what I said. But it's what you're thinking. I'm thinking that every time something good happens in my life, your world reaches in and threatens it. The photograph, the threats, and now my business. Her voice cracked, just slightly, at the edges. I'm thinking that maybe Sung-jin was right about one thing. Being close to you comes with a cost. Hyun-sung looked at her. The expression on his face. She'd never seen it before. Not anger, not the cold mask he wore for enemies. Something raw and exposed and deeply, terribly hurt. "If you want me to leave," he said, "I will." "I didn't say that. You're thinking it." "Stop telling me what I'm thinking." She was on her feet now, voice rising. "I am tired, Hyun-sung. I am tired of fighting battles that aren't mine. I have a daughter who needs stability, a mother who worries herself into headaches every night, a restaurant that I just barely got. And now I might lose it because a man I helped on a rainy night turned out to be—" She stopped. The sentence hung in the air, unfinished, brutal. Hyun-sung stood slowly, put on his jacket, walked to the door. "I'll give you space," he said without turning around. "However much you need." The door closed, and Paisley stood alone in the quiet apartment, her chest so tight it hurt to breathe. He didn't call. She didn't call either. The Commerce Bureau investigation moved forward. Paisley hired a local lawyer, a sharp woman named Duke, who wore reading glasses on a chain around her neck and had a reputation for eating bureaucrats for breakfast. "Your records are clean," Duke said after reviewing everything. "Spotless, actually. Whoever filed this complaint was counting on intimidation, not evidence. So we can fight it. We can win it. But it'll take time. The Bureau moves like a turtle with a headache. Time. The one thing Paisley never seemed to have enough of. The restaurant stayed open during the review. A Duke had negotiated that much. But the shadow of the investigation hung over everything. Customers who'd heard rumors stayed away. Revenue dropped. Staff got nervous. Sena noticed the change. "Mama, why are you sad?" "I'm not sad, baby. You have your thinking face. You always get your thinking face when you're sad. 7 years old and already reading people better than most adults." Paisley pulled her daughter close. "I'm just working through a problem. Is it a math problem? I'm good at math. It's a grown-up problem. Those are the hardest kind." Sena tilted her head. "Where's Hyun-sung?" The question hit Paisley like a truck she didn't see coming. "He's busy." "Too busy to call?" Sometimes grown-ups need space from each other. Sena processed this with the devastating logic of a child. "Did you have a fight?" "Not exactly." "Mama." Sena put both hands on Paisley's cheeks. a gesture she'd learned from Emery. If you had a fight, you should say sorry. That's what Mrs. Fullerin says. What if I'm not the one who should be sorry? Then both of you should say sorry. That's what Mrs. Fullerin says about that too. Emery, predictably, had her own opinion. You pushed him away. Mama, I was upset. Of course you were upset. You had every right to be upset. But being right and being wise are not always the same thing, Paisley. Emery was chopping onions, aggressively, as she did when making a point. That man did not bring this trouble because he wanted to. He brought it because he existed. And existing near someone you care about is not a crime. His existence is literally connected to organized crime, Mama. His past is connected to it. His present is trying to change. And that, she pointed the knife for emphasis, that is the hardest thing a person can do. Change who they are while the world keeps punishing them for who they were. Paisley stared at the onions. Her eyes were stinging. From the onions. Definitely the onions. What if I've ruined it? Then unruin it. It's not that simple. Paisley Candy, you raised a child alone. You worked 3 jobs in 1 year. You bought a restaurant with savings and stubbornness. You helped take down a criminal faction with a whiteboard and a spilled cup of tea. Emery set down the knife. Do not tell me you can't pick up a phone. She picked up the phone. Not that day, or the next, but on the 3rd day, sitting on the diner floor after closing. The same corner booth where everything started. She dialed his number. It rang 5 times. She almost hung up. Paisley? His voice. Just her name. And all the distance she'd built. The walls, the logic, the self-protection, trembled. I shouldn't have said what I said, she started. About you being a cost, about being close to you. You were right. I was scared. There's a difference. Silence. Being close to you is complicated, she continued. And your world does reach into mine in ways that scare me. But, and I need you to hear this part, Hyun-sung. I don't regret any of it. Not the $20, not the diner, not... She swallowed. Not you. More silence. Then, a sound she almost didn't recognize. Hyun-sung Do-yeon was crying. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a quiet, shuddering breath. The sound of a man who'd been holding everything together for so long that a single act of gentleness cracked the dam. I thought I'd lost you, he said. You didn't. I'm right here. The investigation. I can help without it being traced. No, I told you, I handle my restaurant, but I need you to handle Sung Jin. For real this time. Not a reassignment, not a negotiation. End it. How? You're the one who ran an empire. Figure it out. A pause. Then, you're terrifying. So I've been told. Sung Jin wasn't finished. The Commerce Bureau complaint was just the opening move. 3 days after Paisley and Hyun-sung's phone call, Hyun-sung's import-export office in the Harbor District was raided by customs officials, acting on another anonymous tip claiming the company was smuggling undeclared goods. The raid found nothing, because there was nothing to find. But the damage was done. Hyun-sung's local business partners panicked. 2 pulled out of contracts. A major shipping deal collapsed overnight. Then came the article. An online news site, one of those outlets that ran salacious stories dressed up as investigative journalism, published a piece titled Foreign Crime Lord Building Empire in Afua City. No names were used directly, but the details were specific enough. A Korean businessman, a port-based import company, connections to a powerful East Asian syndicate, that anyone paying attention could connect the dots. Paisley saw the article at 6 in the morning, forwarded by 3 different people before she'd finished her first cup of tea. Her phone rang. Hyun-sung. Have you seen? I've seen it. Paisley, Don't apologize. Not right now. Right now I need to know, is any of it true? The current operations, the company here, is any of it illegal? No, everything is registered, audited, and legal. Every shipment, every transaction. Then we fight. We? You heard me. It was Yona who traced the article back to its source. A freelance writer who'd been paid, handsomely, by a shell company that Yona's forensic accountant linked to Sung Jin's personal network. "He's burning through his remaining resources," Yona reported. "This is desperation. He's throwing everything he has left at you, both of you, hoping something sticks." "Then we take away everything he has left," Paisley said. She was sitting at the safe house kitchen table, the same one where they'd planned the vault operation. Sina's drawing of General Sparkle was still pinned to the whiteboard. Hyun-sung sat across from her. Yona stood by the window. "How?" Hyun-sung asked. "A Duke, my lawyer. She's been digging into the Commerce Bureau complaint. The complaint was filed through a local intermediary, a consulting firm called Apex Strategic Partners." Paisley pulled out a folder. "I asked a Duke to look into Apex. It's a shell. No real employees, no real clients, just a mailing address and a registration number." Hyun-sung leaned forward. "But here's where it gets interesting." Paisley opened the folder. Apex Strategic Partners shares a registered agent with 4 other companies, all of which have received payments from the same offshore account. An account that Yona's team already flagged 6 months ago as part of Sung Jin's personal financial network. Yona's eyebrow lifted, her version of a standing ovation. "You traced Sung Jin's shell company through a local business filing?" Yona asked. "My lawyer did. Turns out Commerce Bureau records are public." Hyun-sung stared at her. "You did all this while running a restaurant and raising a child?" "I also made 3 batches of chin-chin for Sina's school bake sale. Multitasking is not new to me." The evidence was enough. Not for the Gyeomjong-pa Council. This wasn't an internal matter anymore. Sung Jin had used international financial channels to harass private citizens and businesses in Afua City. That made it a matter for local law enforcement. A Duke filed the report with the Financial Crimes Unit. Yona's forensic documentation supported it. Within 2 weeks, the consulting firm Apex Strategic Partners was flagged for investigation, and the trail led directly back to Sung Jin's network. He was arrested on a Tuesday morning at a hotel in the coastal district. Not by Hyun-sung's people, not by the Gyeomjong-pa, by Afua City Police, acting on a warrant issued by a local judge. Paisley heard the news from a Duke, who called with the restrained excitement of a woman who rarely lost cases and was deeply satisfied about not losing this one. "It's done," a Duke said. "The complaint against your restaurant has been formally withdrawn. Your license is clear." Paisley sat down, slowly, on the chair behind the diner counter. Her counter. "Thank you, Duke." "Thank yourself. You brought me the evidence. I just filed the paperwork." That evening, Hyun-sung came to the diner after closing. He brought tteokbokki, the good kind, from the Korean place on Harbor Street. Paisley made jollof rice. They sat across from each other in the corner booth and ate in comfortable silence. "I have something to tell you," Hyun-sung said. "If it's another crisis, I'm charging a consultation fee." The corner of his mouth twitched. "The council has approved the final phase of the transition. As of next month, the Gyeomjong-pa's Eastern Corridor will operate entirely through legal channels. No shadow routes, no unauthorized trade. Full transparency." Paisley set down her fork. "That's what you've been fighting for since the beginning." "Since before I met you." "But I don't think I would have finished the fight without you." "That's generous." "It's true. You showed me something that night in the diner, something I'd forgotten." "What?" "That kindness isn't weakness. That helping someone, without a reason, without a price, is the most powerful thing a person can do. My whole life, I was taught that power comes from fear, from control, from being the strongest person in the room." He paused. "But you had $20 and a plate of rice, and you changed everything." She looked at him. This man who'd walked into her diner bleeding and broken, and had somehow become the most important person in her world after Sena and Emery. "You changed things too, you know," she said. "I was surviving before I met you, getting by, keeping my head down. And that's fine. Surviving is enough when it's all you can do. But you made me believe I could do more than survive. The restaurant, the classes, the way I see myself now. I'm not just Santa's mom or Emery's daughter or the waitress at Remy's. I'm me, the full version. The full version was always there. Maybe. But sometimes you need someone to see it before you can see it yourself. 4 months later, Hyun-sung asked Emery first. This was, Paisley later learned, a strategic decision made after extensive consultation with Yona, who had advised, in her characteristically blunt fashion, that if you don't ask the mother first, nothing else matters. He brought flowers, and yam, and a bottle of palm wine that Emery pretended to examine critically before accepting with barely concealed delight. Mrs. Emery, Hyun-sung said, sitting across from her at the kitchen table where she'd first interrogated him over a year ago. I would like your permission, and your blessing, to ask your daughter to marry me. Emery looked at him for a very long time. You know what you're asking for, she said. Not just Paisley. You're asking for Sina, for this family, for the Sunday dinners and the school plays and the arguments about onions and tomatoes. I know. You're asking to stay. Not visit, not come and go. Stay. Yes. And if things get hard again, if your past comes, knocking, then I stand beside her. Not in front, beside, and we face it together. Emery was quiet for another long moment. Then she stood, walked to the kitchen counter, and came back with a small wooden box. This was my husband's, she said, opening it. Inside was a ring, simple gold, worn smooth by decades of wear. He gave it to me 43 years ago. I've been saving it for the right person. Hyun-sung looked at the ring, then at Emery. I can't accept. You can, and you will. Because this ring has survived everything. Poverty, loss, distance, grief. It's stubborn, like my daughter. She placed the box in his hands. Take care of my girls, Hyun-sung Do-yeon. Both of them. With everything I have, he asked Paisley on a Sunday evening. Not at a fancy restaurant. Not at the harbor. Not anywhere dramatic or grand. He asked her at the diner, in the corner booth, where it all started. She was cleaning up after closing, wiping tables, stacking chairs. He was supposed to have gone home an hour ago, but kept finding reasons to linger. She didn't notice him walk to the corner booth and sit down until she turned around and found him there, in the exact spot where she'd first found a bleeding stranger on a rainy night. You're in my booth, she said. Our booth. My booth, in my restaurant. Paisley. Something in his voice made her stop. Set down the rag. Walk over. He was holding the small wooden box. Her eyes went to it, and then widened, because she recognized it instantly. She'd seen that box on her mother's dresser for her entire life. Hyun-sung, I asked your mother, and Sena. He paused. Sena said yes immediately and demanded to be the flower girl and the ring bearer. Paisley laughed. It burst out of her, high and surprised and dangerously close to tears. I'm not a perfect man, Hyun-sung said. My past is heavy. My world is complicated, and I know, that being with me means accepting things that most people never have to think about. He opened the box. The gold ring caught the diner's flickering light. But I also know that I have never met anyone like you. Anyone who could spend their last $20 on a stranger and mean it. Anyone who could stare down threats and investigations and still make chin-chin for a bake sale. Anyone who could make me believe that the world isn't just deals and power and fear. That it's also jollof rice and paper cranes and a little girl who invents planets. Paisley's vision was blurring. She blinked hard. Twice. So, Paisley Candy. His voice wavered for the first time. Just slightly. Like even the head of a former empire could tremble at the thing that mattered most. Will you? Yes. I didn't finish. You don't need to. Yes. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit like it had been waiting for her. She looked at it, looked at him, and in the quiet of the empty diner, under the flickering light, in the corner booth, in the place where $20 had turned into forever, She pulled him into a hug so fierce that the chair scraped back 3 inches. "If you ever make me cry in my own restaurant again," she said into his shoulder, "I'm raising the price of tteokbokki." He laughed. She laughed. And the sound of it filled every corner of the little diner on the edge of the waterfront. The place where a single mom spent her last $20 on a drunk stranger, not knowing he was the head of a criminal empire, not knowing he would change her life, not knowing that kindness, real, stubborn, irrational kindness, was the most powerful force in the world. And outside, the city hummed. And the stars, every last one of them, discovered and undiscovered, looked down and approved. Here you go. This story is proof that one act of kindness can change everything. And there are so many more stories like this waiting for you on this channel. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications so you never miss a single one. Your next favorite story is already on the way.